Welcome once again to the Scouting Report. I'm Mariners broadcaster Aaron Goldsmith. Today, joined by Mariners third-round draft pick Michael Morales. Michael, it's great to see you in person. Congratulations, man. How are you feeling right now?
Feeling excited. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's still an absolute whirlwind. It's been a hectic last 2 days, and then throw the draft in there in the last week and a half. It's been crazy, but I'm excited to be a part of the organization now.
So walk us through today. You got the family in town. You're a long way from home, from Pennsylvania, but an exciting day. Tell us some of the things you've done already.
Mainly physicals. Yeah.
Also the fun stuff.
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff. Saw a lot of doctors, just kind of going over your regular things just to make sure that I guess my heart's beating and everything like that. I'm ready to go. So I was kind of in and out of that, got back to the hotel, had lunch with Mr. Hunter, and then got dressed, came here. Yesterday, got to see the city a little bit. We got in early yesterday, so got to walk around the city a little bit. Love the hills; those are awesome. And then while I was in physicals, my parents just went down to the harbor, so I haven't had a true chance to do that yet. But I'm hoping tomorrow that I'll have a better chance of actually getting around.
We got pen to paper on the contract at this point?
Yep.
What was that like?
I wish I could explain it. I think I'll have better words once it truly settles in. I mean, in the moment, it was crazy. It was something that you always dream of. I'm sure a lot of people can kind of relate to that aspect, but I mean, it went fast. It really did. I mean, everything goes fast. It's either going super fast or super slow. That's kind of one thing that I've picked up on so far. But it felt really great now to be officially a part of an organization.
In the physical, was your hair addressed? Because you have 80 grade hair.
Thank you.
It's some serious flow. It's some real flow. It works under the ball cap, works with no ball cap as well. Dress it down, dress it up. I mean, very versatile. This is big league hair. I mean, you have to feel good about this. I mean, I know you've got a good arm, but this is...
I mean, I might, if I get a haircut, I'm gonna try to go towards yours. I might try and throw your hair in.
I mean, I would stick. I mean, you can rock the long flow. I think you run with that as long as you can.
Okay, thank you.
It's very impressive.
Thank you.
It's hard to imagine that it doesn't add like at least 2 ticks of the velocity.
You know, it might. It honestly might. I mean, it's still, velocity still isn't maybe all that hard, but I mean, it might be a little bit slower.
Can it add brake? Do you think it can add brake to the breaking ball?
That might have. It might have. I think when I started growing it out, that's when it started coming together a little bit.
Okay. See, these are the intangibles you can't tell just looking at like a Fangraphs page.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
We're on the same page. Hey, speaking of that, let's talk about your stuff a little bit.
Okay.
Your mindset for pitching seems to be very lock in stride with what the Mariners are teaching from a biomechanics standpoint, from an analytical standpoint. How did you develop that angle, that mind for the game that a lot of guys, even advanced pitchers, don't necessarily gravitate to, but you clearly have at a young age?
Honestly, it started when I was really young. We had a beach house down in Fenwick that it was all brick, so I would just go out there. My dad used to coach lacrosse when he got back from Iraq, so I would just go out there and throw a lacrosse ball off the brick wall because a baseball, one, it would scuff and it didn't bounce back as well as a lacrosse ball. So I was a little lazy in that aspect. But honestly, I would just do things that made sense. I mean, it sounds really weird, but especially when mechanically, I would watch things on TV. I would see things that I liked and that I just had an idea that would work for me. I would try everything. So there was if a coach ever came to me and gave their 2 cents, I would try it, and then from there I would go if it made sense feel wise and if it made sense in my head, and I would kind of run with that a little bit. And I wish I could kind of elaborate off of that, but it's weird. In my head, things would just make sense or they wouldn't. And the things that wouldn't make sense, I would just kind of kick to the side a little bit, and I would just try and run as much as possible with the things that made sense. And a lot of things that made sense honestly came from my own head. I would spend a lot of time thinking in school. I would just be sitting there in the classroom just thinking about baseball all the time, thinking about movement things. What can I do to get better down the hill? If there's any different grips that I can go to, if there's things that I've seen, people throwing fastballs differently, especially 4 seams, if it spins a little bit differently, things like that. I remember when I was younger, I'd be able to kind of pick up on spin from the stands a little bit, just being able to kind of watch from the sides. Obviously you can see break. That's not really that tough, but I would be able to, from afar, be able to see spin. I would always tell my dad, like, when he would throw BP to me, I was not that great of a hitter, but I would be like, Dad, can you throw four seams, please? Like your two seam runs too much, and I want to work on hitting the ball to right field, and I don't want to do inside out. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, your spin's broken. Like just don't throw it against the train tracks and just throw four seams. And my dad never played baseball, so my dad's like, just shut up. Back to the whole point. I mean, that was kind of just one thing I would always just try and run with. Just think deeply about things on the pitching end, and just whenever I'd have the chance to actually put work into it, then see how it clicks.
So it sounds like you actively watched a lot of big league pitchers to try to see what they did that might fit you. Who were some of those guys that you really kind of broke down?
So I grew up a Red Sox fan. He was before my time, but I loved watching Pedro Martinez. So that would always be one guy. I would go on YouTube all the time. I loved this changeup. I mean, obviously his breaking stuff was powerful, but I would try and really just dive into his mechanics, because he was a smaller frame guy and could throw the crap out of the ball. I think getting up to like 97. So trying to figure out, okay, what's the difference between a guy who's 6'5" and throws that hard, and a guy who's maybe around anywhere from 5'10" to 6'2" that can throw the same. So I would try and dive into that a little bit, and I mean that all started at a young age, but. Mariano Rivera on the flip side. I mean,
whoa, wait a second, man.
I know. But I mean, you have to respect the talent. I didn't really see team. I liked how he carried himself on the same time at the same sense. So, one thing I always tried to copycat a little bit was mound presence. Try and figure out my own mound presence when I'd step onto the field, and especially the mound. And I thought those were two guys that just had unbelievable mound presence. It wasn't arrogant. It wasn't flashy or cocky, but you knew when they stepped on the mound, you could feel something. You could feel something different.
How do you work on mound presence?
I think it's just the intensity that you bring to the mound. I think it's really all kind of subconscious. I think if you're a guy who has really good mound presence, you're not going above and beyond to draw attention to you, but the way that you carry yourself does. It's a lot of confidence. I think that's one of the biggest things. You can see confidence.
You mentioned your father a few moments ago, serving in Iraq, clearly military.
Yep.
Oh, tell us more about that and what that was like growing up.
Yeah, so before my time, he deployed once to Iraq with the Marines, and then when he got back, he did some things in between. 9/11 happened. He got into the Army at that point and deployed, I think 2 years later for about 18 months. And that was, I mean, it was weird because, especially, I mean, on the phone and stuff like that, I would be talking to somebody who I knew was my dad, but I didn't really know all what that meant because I was only around 2 years old at that point, 2 or 3 years old. And that's honestly the only thing I remember from that age. I remember just small tidbits here and there of phone conversations. But I just remember like my mom would get a phone call in the back room and it'd be really late at night. And she'd be like, hey, come talk to dad. And I'd be like, okay, like I'll talk to dad, whatever that is. But I mean, that's probably the one thing that I really remember.
So you probably have always made your bed like perfectly then, right? Like your room is
no, complete opposite.
Up. No,
complete opposite.
You let that fly?
No, but I mean, it'd be like an everyday thing, like, hey, clean up your room, and I'd rebel a little bit, but
I mean, how does he feel about the flow? I mean, as a military guy,
hates it. Oh yeah, God, hates it. No,
this is bad.
And that's what
bad,
it's
man.
like the one thing. Everything he hates has been kind of working out for me. So I don't know.
I mean, batting practice. His poor BP throwing might have driven you to the mound.
I think anything would have driven me to the mound.
Okay. All right, Michael, we're going to wrap this up with something we call quick pitch, rapid fire, coming right at you like a heater, chin high.
Okay.
Favorite big leaguer?
Right now or just overall?
You tell me.
Overall, Pedro Martinez.
What is your weirdest personal quirk?
Can I ask you? Like, can you give me an example?
Okay, so like I require heavy amounts of ice in a drink that I order at a restaurant. Like I always say,
Okay, I always say
like, I'll take an iced tea full of ice.
Okay.
And I get stares, but it's like,
I go complete opposite on that.
oh, this is over.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously?
Yeah.
You're like ice free?
Yeah, well, because I mean, they fill it up too much ice, and then you're paying for a full drink and getting like a quarter.
First of all, 3rd round pick. Okay, let's start there. Okay. Second of all, free refills, man. I mean.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, you didn't specify where we were going.
Well, I think the idea is right that we're enjoying a nice meal.
Okay. That works. Yeah.
So, but you would take at most you would take average ice.
Light ice. Light.
That's a problem. That's terrible. I'm glad I could help you to discover your only personal.
No, I'll
quirk.
try it out. When I'm in Seattle, I'll try it out.
Go heavy
I'll try
ice.
out the full ice.
Heavy ice.
Yeah.
Favorite breakfast cereal?
Raisin Bran.
Oh, it's like actually, I mean, it's a very professional cereal.
I think so.
Nothing sugary or crazy.
I get the Raisin Bran with a little bit of frost on it, the sugar. So, and then some bananas on it. So that tends to work.
You are crazy, wild man. All right, you can choose one of these and one of these only.
Okay.
You can either speak every language fluently, or you can be able to speak to animals.
Animals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
animals.
you. This
Animals.
is you'd be a billionaire.
Oh, for sure.
You'd be one of a kind.
Yeah.
What animal would you most want to speak to?
A lion.
Well, to save your life, probably.
I don't know. I just think, I bet that they have a pretty strange sense of humor.
I'm with you on that. Your first celebrity crush?
Margot Robbie.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah.
Favorite home cooked meal?
Oh, that's a good one. My dad makes pretty good empanadas.
Okay. Yeah. Boy, military, lacrosse coach, empanadas?
Yeah.
And he lets you get away with the hair in a messy room.
Yeah.
What a guy, man.
I know.
All right, last one. I think this is the most tricky one yet. One day, would you rather throw a perfect game? I mean, there's barely been 20 perfect games in baseball history. Felix Hernandez threw the last one. Or win a Cy Young.
Cy Young, probably more wins than that.
I mean, it's true. But you're one of just a handful with the perfect game. But you also like light ice. To no ice.
But I mean, a perfect game, it might not help me win a World Series. Cy Young might help out the team a little bit more.
Oh, definitely help out more.
Yeah.
I find every time I ask a pitcher this, that's always the direction they go.
Really?
Yeah, I'm more like, just give me one great day.
Yeah.
But everybody who actually does this for a living has the more of a growth mindset of,
Yeah.
I'd like to be good for longer than one day, which I think explains a lot about why you are.
I mean, in a Cy
There,
Young,
and
you
I'm
still
here.
have the opportunity to.
You could
throw
still
for
do
me.
that. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm hunting for both.
Okay. Michael, this was great, man. It's great to meet you.
Thank you. You as well.